Hey, hi, ho, and howdy, everybody. My name is Channel Shook, and welcome to some just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little. What am I doing? That's not even kind of close to resembling a song. Just a little bit, just a little. That was what I was going for. I was going for some respect. RESPECT. Tell you what it means to me. Immediately just forgot all of the rest of the lyrics. Anyway, I'm here with another episode. The first episode of a new something. And you may ask, why is this? And what is this? And why have you gotten lazy? And I say, I was always lazy. I just had a lot of shit. So anyway, you will notice by the title and probably the thumbnail and probably other stuff that this is something called the Revew-Cap EXTRA. And that is because normally it's the supplementary material to the Revew-Cap of insert series here. But we also live in a world where I only do one series on the Revew-Cap currently, and I do that in quotation marks. For any of you who do not know, I've talked about it quite a bit recently, but nobody watches the stuff that I put out. Also, half of the stuff that I talked about it in hasn't come out yet because I'm so upset because I fucked it up so bad. All I can say is, all my Moamon fans, I'm fucking sorry. Ooh, the next episode's gonna be some shit. And it's not because of the reason you think it is. I'm a bad Pokemon trainer, but I'm also a stupid fucking YouTuber. Anyway, so, yeah, no, this is Revew-Cap Extra, and the reason we don't have a regular Revew-Cap this week as we were supposed to is because I was out of town, state, country for about a week and a half. So I was completely out of the way. Oh, that's great, Shannon. That's not fucking disgusting. It's Thanksgiving, it's the day after Thanksgiving, but we celebrated Thanksgiving today. I've been eating all the food. I'm fucking disgusting. But you know it wasn't? The goddamn food. That shit is delicious. What is the best Thanksgiving part of the meal of the do? It's green bean casserole, and if you said anything else, you're fucking wrong. Anyway, our Revew-Cap Extra is supposed to be this little thing that I do at the end of, that was what it was in the last episode. It was the little part where I just kind of started talking normally. It was basically a teeny tiny itty bitty podcast about what I thought about the episode that didn't make it in the Revew-Cap. Sadly, again, I was out of town for a week and a half. I got back and was like, you know what, I'm not feeling super great today. Let's try it tomorrow, see if I can get some stuff done. And then it was the next day, I'm like, awesome, I'm going to record this, and that worked perfectly, and I was still a little sick, because I had gotten sick on the trip, and then I was like, cool, I got that now, and then tomorrow I can get all this shit done, and then I got really fucking sick, and I've been that way for about a week and a half now, so I am back, and I'm just kind of barely coming out of the sickness now, so, I'm at least to a point where I can talk for a while, so we are back now. I've missed quite a bit, which is a problem, but we are where we are. I wanted to do Revew-Caps for, at least, especially for this episode, because I have a dream joke that I really wanted to make about Gira's speech, but then I didn't, because I didn't make the fucking episode. Instead, I'm going to do this, because this is something that I can do, and hopefully it'll allow me to catch up and not completely leave me behind to where I just completely collapse and give up on the Revew-Cap again, like I did last year. Because that was the problem. I got behind, and then I got more behind, and more behind, and more behind, and more behind, and I was like, fuck it, I'm done. There's no way I can catch up again. So I'm going to try and avoid that this year by at least kind of weaseling my way through this the best I can. And that way, we're going to do the Revew-Cap Extra, which, as I said before, is basically a mini little podcast, me talking about what I thought about the episode. In this case, it's pretty much what I thought about the episode entirety, instead of just little bits that didn't make it in the Revew-Cap. Luckily, not too terribly much happened in episode 3. Quite a bit happened in episode 4, but it was only really around 2 characters. At least to the best of my memory. It's bad. Episode 5... Another pretty toned down episode. Not too terribly much happened, but there was some a little bit of information. And then episode 6, I'm hoping I don't have to review Cap Extra all the way up to there. We'll see, though. We'll see how this goes. Again, I'm sorry, I've been ranting for talking for about 5 minutes, and we've actually talked nothing about the actual episode. So, if you stuck around, thank you. If you didn't, fuck me, right? Please, I'm very lonely. Actually, don't. I'm fine. But the nudes, though. So anyway, again, I was gone. So we're going to talk here today in Review-Cap Extra, which is the actual review cap for this, I guess, about episode 3 of chapter 5. Chapter 3 of season and or volume 5 of RWBY, Unforeseen Complications. So what I thought about the episode as a whole, I dug it. This is something I really want to talk about this volume so far, is there has been a fuck ton of talking. It has been a lot. It has been a very dialogue heavy volume, and we're still a little under halfway through it. And from what I understand, people seem to be a little divided on that. Basically on, well, half people are like, but Rube, I want to see attractive anime ladies beat up monsters and stuff. And I'm like, I get that. The show was literally sold to people on 4 adorable, attractive badasses just beating the shit out of people and or robots and or monsters, and it was cool. That being said, that's not a show. I mean, like, it could be. I'm sure someone can make that a show. I'm just saying there's more to it than that. And other people are like, no, dude, I'm 100% on board that. I'm a huge dialogue person. Bitch, I seen Clerks like 800 times. Ain't nothing happens in that movie, but people be talking all goddamn day. And I'm one of those people. So that is why I'm 100% on board with the extra dialogue. I understand why some people aren't a big fan of it, but I really like that kind of thing. Especially since a lot of people are very much under the mindset of show, don't tell. I like it when people tell. I like both, but telling is cool too. I'm like, it doesn't really bother me that much. So that's basically my thought. A lot of people are having issues with the dialogue heaviness. A lot of people aren't. I lean towards the side of aren't, but that again, I'm super forgiving about all kinds of shit anyway, so I'm a terrible fucking example of the person you should ask about that kind of thing. Anyway, this episode could probably be broken up into like 3 main parts. I'm trying to remember it. I just watched like a reaction of it a little while ago, but it was still a while enough back to where I'm having issues. It'd be basically broken up into 3 parts though, and that is the first section. I'm sorry, turkey dinner. Oh my god. In the first section, which is Gira giving the speech in Menagerie. The second section, which is Ozpin basically explaining, he be telling his life story. He's doing his Draw My Life for Team Ranger and Crow. And, well, I guess Crow already knows. But him doing that. And then the third would be Weiss after being captured by Big Bird Bitch Mama herself, Raven Branwen. So we're going to try and break. I'm going to do each of these little sections in their own parts, even though they're kind of broken up. Luckily, the first one's very self-contained, and that's Gira's speech in Menagerie. So when it first opens up, it's, of course, Gira. He's pacing around in his office. And again, I don't know if I'm going to try and get some screenshots for this, so at least there's something going on here, and it's not just a podcast. But, so he's just pacing around in his room, reading over the speech, going like, oh, this isn't going to work. This is terrible. That's a terrible Gira impression as well. Oh, I can add that to the list of shitty RWBY impressions I can't do. Woohoo! But he's kind of pacing around, freaking out, as anyone would do. I would do that. I'm not a good speaker. He's a better speaker than I am, but I'm not. Well, I can talk. It's just I can't talk well. You can tell because you're watching this. No, you're not. No one's watching this. Unless you are. In which, thank you. But so he's pacing around, having trouble going through the speech, and of course, both Blake and Mama Belladonna, baby girl herself, both going up in there and giving him some support, which I really liked. I liked that, and especially really liked number one, the two things was the fact that when they go up to kind of comfort Gira, they give him the little like cat head rub, which as a cat owner I find to be fucking adorable and amazing, because my cat was literally just doing that to me like 20 minutes ago and rubbing her face all up in my beard, and my beard looks like a comb, and then I'm just brushing cat hair out of my face, and no one likes that. But it's adorable and it's a nice touch. Ruby's been doing really good with the cat touches this volume. Little bit of spoilers for a later episode. Another episode later down the line, I believe it's episode 5, covers a little bit of Blake stuff. This shouldn't be anything too problematic or bothersome, especially since I'm behind anyway. So, but in episode 5, there's a lot of usage of Blake's ears to display emotion, like a lot, like way more than I was expecting. In that episode, it was really, really great. I can't wait to talk about that shit later on. They've been really expressive with that kind of thing, and it gives a lot more to Blake's character, I think. And it's fucking adorable. Neckos, boy. Anyway, so there's that touch, which I really liked in that. And then there's also the other touch, which is Sun just going on and giving some support to Gira, and the fact that they don't fucking freak out on each other nearly as much anymore is really nice. I like how they're kind of growing to become a little bit of a family of their own, how he's kind of joining in. He's gonna make a respectable man out of that monkey one of these days. It's gonna be a marryable monkey. I'm looking at you, Blake. Where am I? Bumblebee? Black Sun? Who knows? I should both. Anyway, so they give some comfort, and then Gira, of course, goes out and delivers a speech. And basically, the whole speech can be summed up as, okay, so I used to run the White Fang, and I firmly believe that we shouldn't be stabbing people in the streets and breaking shit and rioting and shit like that. But what I was doing wasn't working fast enough for people, so I quit, and then someone who did like that shit took over, which was Sienna, and I don't agree with that, but I do agree with why she does it, which is, of course, to, you know, get everyone on the same level, even if his is like, now I shall extend my hand to you, and we shall raise each other up to the same level. Whereas hers is like, bitch, you take my hand, or I'll cut it the fuck off. Both technically effective strategies, I'm just saying. So that was basically the first part of his speech, and then it goes on to calling out Adam about how he's going to overthrow Sienna. A little fucking late on that one. About how he's going to overthrow Sienna and how he's going to attack Haven Academy. And then he basically goes on to ask everyone for help, which doesn't really go so well because why would it? No, I get this is there are people who are inherently good, who are heroic, who will go out of their way to fight for people and do that. That's the whole idea behind the huntsmen themselves, really. At least for most people, that's basically that's kind of where RWBY comes from, is that basic idea of we have to help people. That is, if we can, if you are able to do that, then it's your job to do that. So that's kind of always been her view of it, from what I've ever seen, and there are people like that, but your basic average everyday person isn't like that, or at least not to that extent. Like, for me, as an example, I have a total hero complex. I get off of the idea of helping people. Not really, not like actually, like, but I mean like jizz, I guess. Oh, I'm so sorry. Anyway, I made a fucking fisting joke in the first goddamn Revew-Cap episode of this volume. I don't know why I'm apologizing for anything. I'm so fucking sorry about that. Anyway. But, like, I'm that kind of person who really... It's a huge part of me to always want to try and help people. But even that... going out of my way to fight and die for someone, that is a huge step up from, oh hey, let me always be here to support you, or let me always be there to stand up, because like I can take a punch for somebody. Taking a bullet is a next fucking level. Taking a bullet and putting it in someone else is an even higher fucking level. So it's like, I understand that mindset that some people just want to live their fucking lives and be left alone. Not everybody wants to play the hero, and not everybody even can. Admittedly, in their world, a lot more people would be able to, purely because of fucking aura and semblances and shit. I mean, I can't, like, pull a fucking laser out of my ass or something like that like other people could in that world. But that doesn't mean, even if people could do that kind of shit, that they're going to be okay with, you know, going and fighting for someone. And that is the idea there, too, is fighting for someone else. Even if in the end it benefits you, you're going to go and fight and potentially die for someone you don't know at all. Which is, again, it's a huge thing. And so you can't always just expect people to do that, even if you are a person who's capable and willing to do that. You have to understand that normal fucking people don't want that. Normal people want to go bake a fucking cake. They don't want to murder someone and or get murdered by someone. So that was kind of how that ended up. And then, of course, it continues on with him going off to offer Blake up to tell her story about Beacon and all that. And while we already know all of that kind of thing, really, we don't really know so much about the White Fang, but we definitely do know about Beacon and all that shit. It would have been nice to see what she would have to say, if for nothing else than to see how her character, she as a character, would specifically take on that kind of having to throw herself out there to the world like that. I would have been very interested to see that. We don't get to see that because it got cut short by Jeremy, where do you do this to me? That was another thing I wanted to make. I wanted to make a joke about how I heard a very attractive voice on the wind, and then I got really sad because Jeremy was talking about how she's not a good guy. I saw Makoto figures on Twitter earlier today, and I'm like, I need to start collecting figures now. Someone will know what I'm talking about when I say that. Anyway, point is, so yeah, Ilya shows up, cuts Blake's thing short. Again, I'm kind of sad that we didn't get to see that, but it doesn't really bother me that much because, again, we have heard that story before. It's just I would have been kind of interested to see how she approached it. She's not a big speech kind of person in my mind, so maybe like a personal speech monologue to a couple people, but not out to like an audience kind of thing. So yeah, Ilya then shows up and then proceeds to talk the maddest of shit about how Gira and all of the Belladonnas are all a bunch of fucking human ass kissing pieces of shit who, like, she goes fucking in on it. And I do have to say this, I have to give the utmost of props to Ilya in this, because there's two people who I have to give the utmost props of when it comes to fucking voice acting, and that's Jeremy Lee, again, because she gives a fucking phenomenal performance. Because that's something else I noticed about this, because she's wearing the mask during her fucking freak out. And it's kind of the same issue I've noticed. It's something I only really noticed recently about Adam and Garrett. When you're performing for a character who has full emotion range and all that in their face, they have their eyes, their mouth, they have their nose, their ears, like with Blake, and they have all this shit, all these things that they can use to their advantage to display emotion. You can do a lot. And it's kind of one of the reasons why voice acting can be a lot harder than actual acting. I mean, not necessarily harder, but it can be harder to convey stuff because you don't have nearly as much body language in, say, a animated thing or a video game than you would have in a live action performance, where you can literally just do whatever. You have full range of motion. You can bring that shit to life however you feel. In an animated environment, and as a voice actor, you have to do everything that you can to give life to that performance purely through your voice. And it's something I'm fucking terrible at. Dear anyone who thinks just because I'm a voice actor I'm a good voice, you're wrong. It's bad. I've done some okay things, but they're not good. I mean, they're good because other people were involved, but my stuff specifically wasn't great. So you have to put a ton of effort into that kind of thing. And that's with just normal animated characters, so you can see all of their expression and all of that. Something, again, I just noticed recently was Ilya, when she's wearing the mask, she has very little to work with in body language. She has like her movement with her arms and her just kind of like rah, just getting out there and pushing it like that, and then she's got her mouth, and that's it. That's really all she has. She would have her color change, but she doesn't ever change color in that argument, which I'm surprised she didn't just go to start glowing red, because she was a wee bit angry. She didn't have access to her eyes and all of that when it comes to that performance, so a lot more of that is focus on her voice. And again, that's something that comes back to Garrett and Adam, and I think it's one of the reasons why in my brain a lot more attention gets put on Adam and his voice, and why it's very important that Garrett give it his all when he does that. And I'm not saying he doesn't. Again, when he does it right, he does it so right. Again, this is a light spoiler again for another episode, specifically episode 5. Again, there's a quick scene with Adam in it, and it's fucking great. Garrett does that's, I think, by far the best acting he's done in the series so far. Is it just because he's so just fucking pissed. And it's like, all right, you need to take a fucking chill pill, dude. But he does such a good job. And again, he didn't have the face. He had his body movement in his hands and just like fucking take his hand down his face, just like, oh, I can't. He's just like, just fucking angry. And you can hear it because he brings that shit out. That's something, again, I'll have to talk about in episode 5. I'm sorry that I keep bringing up later episode shit here. It just means I'm fucking myself when I have to talk about that eventually. But, you know, a huge part of that performance is in the voice because they're missing half their fucking face, essentially. And that takes away from it. And the fact that Jeremy, and in the case of that later scene that I'm talking about with Garrett, how they managed to pull that up and really bring that shit to life because they only had their voice, but they used it really well. So shout outs to Jeremy. And there's another voice actor later on in this episode who I definitely need to get major props to. But yeah, so she gives her speech about all that shit. Sun gives the age-old perfect tactic of yelling at someone right before you sneak attack them. The only thing that could have made it better is like, I'm going to sneak attack you now. And then jump. God damn it, Sun. I love you, boy. But why you do this? And anyway, that kind of ends that episode. That little section. Everyone's like, what the fucking shit? This was going okay-ish until her crazy ass showed up. Anyway, so I thought that was a pretty good scene. I liked Kira's speech. I liked the idea of potentially getting to see Blake. I'm sad that we didn't. And again, fucking Ilya, Jeremy did a fucking phenomenal job with that. Her fucking just, where was my help? She's like, yeah, it was good. So then the next section we're gonna talk about is gonna be Oscar, Ranger, and Crow. So at this point, we're picking up where we left off with Crow being a drunk fuck. And, I did it! Like, that shit. So after this point, they're basically discovering, again, that Oscar is Ozpin. And they're talking about, okay, where does that come from? Is he reincarnated or whatever? Is this? Which is what happened. And basically, the main idea of the scene is, Oscar ends up handing over the reins. Ozpin ends up assuming control, taking over the reins, and basically goes on to explain the reason why he can do what he does, and really what he does. Basically, the whole idea is, forever ago, so many years ago, Ozpin was put in charge of stopping Salem by the gods. Presumably the two gods that Ozpin talks about, which would be the god of light and dark. So basically, assumedly, they were the ones who put him up to it, and he fucking failed, and they're like, oh, I guess you better fucking try again. And they're just like, just keep giving him more bodies until he gets this shit done, apparently. So they basically curse him for all eternity. Whenever he dies, he has to go back. He gets reincarnated into the body of a like-minded soul. In this case, Oscar. The old Ozpin was not the first, obviously, and this one is now just the newest model. And the thing about this too is he mentions how after a while the two personalities merge. They kind of melt into one another and they become their own thing. The old Ozpin was tens, hundreds, thousands of people all melded into one, and their personalities eventually they became the person that you know and feel very questionable about. And now eventually that's going to happen with Oscar. He'll still be the main one, but he's gonna inherently become someone else, and Ozpin's gonna inherently become someone else as well, and then that little someone else is the new Ozpin. So I find that to be really, really cool. Can I just talk about how anytime I ever hear the term curse in any form of fiction that's said non-ironically, it doesn't carry any emotional weight? Because, like, I don't know if it is I just watched, like, or listened to too many scary stories about witches as a kid, like, I shall curse you, and it's just like, it seems like shit I would hear about in a fucking kid's book. I understand that it's like a legitimate thing, but just like it doesn't carry nearly as much weight to me. This is a personal issue, I understand. This has nothing to do, this isn't on the fault of the writers, it's just I'm weird. But I do like the concept of that sort of thing. And it makes a ton of sense with everything we've seen. It seems like the way to do it. The only question I would have is, who was the biggest thing is I want to know is who was the original Ozpin, assuming that everything he's saying is the truth, which really, who the fuck knows? I can't trust this fucking guy. Raven don't trust this fucking guy. Who knows? So my question in the end is, or my biggest question in the end is, who was the original Ozpin? Was it like the Wizard? Was it Steve from Ohio? Who was the original Ozpin? When did it all start? And there was another fucking question that I had, but now my brain has just been like, you got a question? Bitch, what is this, a Tuesday? It's not, it's a Friday. It's like 10 minutes away from being a Saturday. So yeah, those are some questions I have. I'm very curious if we can get a little bit more information on that. The other big question I want to know is what the fuck was up with Summer Rose? Also, what is this moon about? Tell me, son. Sorry, I'm gonna take a drink real quick. Could cut that out, but I don't want to. I'm so fucking thirsty. And coffee is not a very good substitute for water. Yeah, so he basically goes on to explain all that kind of shit. And the big thing I wanted to talk about, the voice actor I had to get serious props to is Aaron Dismuke. Dismuke? I don't know. I think it's Dismuke. Or Desmuke? Aaron. I have to give huge shout-outs to him because when they do the body switch to Ozpin, while occasionally they will have Shannon's voice, hey, that's my name, they'll have Shannon's voice flicker in throughout as Ozpin. It's also 100% Aaron doing an impression of Shannon's Ozpin, and it's fucking good. Like, it's really good. Like, the voice is obviously different because it's Oscar's voice, but the intonations and the way he acts, and this comes back to that body language, they get his body language down really well when he switches into Ozpin mode. And, Aaron did a fucking phenomenal job at portraying Ozpin and, like, bring that character back to life, but with a completely different voice. And I thought it was really, really, really cool. So, again, huge shout-outs to Aaron for the fucking bomb-ass Ozpin impression. So the only other real things to keep in mind with this scene is Ozpin basically explains that they don't want to reveal that Oscar is Ozpin and Ozpin is Oscar to Lionheart because he is doing some shady shit, and they've been picking up on that, like, wait, Bitch, what did we tell you to do in case this happened? Shit you ain't been doing. So they're like, maybe we don't tell that fuck. And then they're like, okay, so we need to figure out how we want to go about this. And Crow's like, I can tell some people all about. I can get some. I'm drunk still. I'm so sorry. I'll go get some people, and I'll go get some huntsmen, and we'll gather them up, and we'll go off on this magical adventure together, off into the sunset, and we'll go kick my sister's ass. So they can go after the Spring Maiden and whatnot. So Crow gets sent off on the job of going and getting huntsmen to assist them in their issues. Also, really nice touch in this scene, the fact that when he puts his leg up on the table, he immediately breaks the fucking table. Bad luck. That is a good touch. Thank you. It's the little shit. Again, I don't want to talk about later episodes, but in this one I'll be completely vague about. There is one little scene with one little tiny little placard, poster, sign thing in episode 6, which is one of the smallest yet single most important touches I've ever seen them put in this fucking show, and I can't wait to talk about that eventually at some point, because people bitch about it constantly, and now that it's there, it's like, you have no idea how much that little fucking thing is gonna make a lot of people really fucking happy. Even though it's a horrible thing, it's a little touch. Some people might know what I'm talking about. It's related to the bar-y thing. You whatever. Anyway, so Crow is going off and getting huntsmen, and the last thing before they end, computer, if you do not fucking stop going to screensaver, I'm going to lose my shit. It's the 3rd time in like 10 minutes. I'm not even gonna apologize anymore. It's just gross, and that's the way it is. I'm sorry. It's Thanksgiving. What do you want from me? Thank you to everyone who watches my videos, by the way. I feel like that's important. I should say it. I love you. Now strip for me. I mean, shh. Tell no one, Chris. I'm sorry. I've been watching an absurd amount of To Catch a Predator recently. I don't know what that says about me, but I suddenly want cookies. Point is, and that section ends with Ozpin basically explaining to the kids that they still have a lot of training to do. Ruby is dog shit when it comes to fucking fighting hand to hand, so they got to deal with that. We still have no idea what the fuck's up with John's semblance. John? Dad, is that you? Jean's semblance. And of course, they don't mention Ren or Nora. It's just because they just have basic growing to do. They don't have anything special that's particularly fucked up about them. That's for the slightly more mainer of characters. How does it feel to be pushed to the back? I love Ren and Nora. I don't know why I'm being so mean to them. It basically explains all that. And there was also a really adorable scene when Homeboy flips over in the chair and Ruby looks like she just came immediately, and Nora is so fucking unimpressed, and everyone else is like, oh, neat. Yeah, so that's basically how that scene ends up ending, with a broken coffee table, some really wet ass panties on fucking Ruby's side, and little cute boy Ozpin. So after that moves on, there's one last section to talk about, and that is Weiss in the Bronwyn tribe's captivity. And this is pretty simple. It's basically her just in a cage talking to 2 dickhead bandits, and they're laughing at her. And then Vernal, which is the character who we presume... Bitch, it's the fucking Spring Maiden. I don't know who I'm trying to fool here. It's obviously the fuck... Her name's fucking Vernal. The Spring Maiden, Vernal... shows up, the short-haired chick who's all like, I look sassy as fuck, Cinder. You want to fight, bitch? Spring versus fall coming this weekend at WWE Slam. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't watch wrestling. Anyway, she shows up. She talks some shit to Weiss while holding her sword, being like, bitch, I guess we're just gonna have to ransom you off to daddy. And then Weiss is like, alright, you a hoe. Give me my sword back. Also, my sister's gonna come kick your ass. Also, Fuck. Because this wasn't a normal RWBY Review-Cap, I forgot to actually, what is the name of the chick who plays Vernal? Amberly, I think it's Amberly Connors. I remember her name because she was also, she played like one of the VNN reporters or whatever, back in Volume 4 when Yang's flipping through the telly. But yeah, no, Amberly Connors, I believe is who that is, plays Vernal. If I'm wrong about that, I'm so very, very sorry to both Amberly Connors and whoever plays her. But anyway, yeah, so they have a little bit of back and forth, and then Vernal basically says, "Yo, bitch, guess what? Your sister ain't here because you apparently forgot when you left the fucking house that Ironwood was like, I'm gonna shut down everything. Boy, we will build a wall. With my tiny hands." I'm sorry, we're not gonna get political here. No, we're gonna go to fake politics with Ironwood and his big ass wall. But anyway, he's obviously shutting down borders, which means he recalled Winter back. So Winter wasn't even fucking in Mistral. So Weiss was all like, "I'm gonna go see sis." And then she ends up on a street corner, sad and alone, as fucking In the Arms of Angels plays, and then she gets picked up by animal control. And or something. Anyway. Basically, that's the exchange there. Weiss gets all sad because of that, obviously, and then Vernal's like, "Nah, I've made a little girl cry, and now I'm going to leave." So she heads off, and the bandits go back to playing fucking Uno. By the way, played Uno over Thanksgiving with my family. Played it by Uno, the movie rules, and that went exactly as long as you think it fucking did. 4 fucking hours of one hand of Uno is some bullshit. My grandpa joined in at the fucking last one, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, everything else has been like 10-minute games tops, and like, it'll be great." 4 hours later, someone just tell me what you have in your fucking hand so that we can go home. Except that I wouldn't say that because it's a Christian household. I'm a fucking monster, but they're not. Anyway. So they're over there dicking around, and then basically Weiss goes to kind of cry again. She does that little sadness, and then it actually would cut back to the Ranger stuff at this point. But since we're just going about, we've already done all that, so we're gonna instead talk about that very, very quick last scene. Is her again being kind of sad and mopey in the cage again when she gets a fucking bright idea like, "Wait, she has my sword. But you know whose sword she doesn't have? Itty bitty little dude fellow, because she can summon the little baby knight." And can we talk about the? I don't know if I'm gonna do screenshots for everything, but I'm gonna definitely do this screenshot because I saved this shit the second that episode came out. And this is something to keep in mind. This is for any boy, for any girl, for any whatever. You find yourself a person to love who looks at you like Weiss looks at Tiny Knight, because it's both the cutest thing I've ever seen and it's so fucking attractive. I have issues. Chris, stop it. She's of age now. I don't know what the fucking age of consent in Remnant is. It's 43. You need to why don't you have a seat? Anyway, so she basically spawns up Tiny Knight and is like, "Wait, I can break the fuck out of here." And he's like, "Yeah, you can, you dumb bitch. What was you doing without me?" So they decide they're gonna do that, and she goes from having that, "Oh, you're adorable," to "Let's kick some ass" face. And the episode ends. And again, on the episode as a whole, I really liked it. Again, not too terribly much happened. Again, we got information on Oz's backstory from him, so we could be making some of that shit up, but from him we got at least his side of the story of things. We got Aaron fucking taking over, doing great Ozpin impressions. We got fucking Gira delivering his speech, trying to get everyone on his side, and Ilya fucking that up. And of course, the last but not least, Weiss in a cage. So, you know, it was a cool episode. yeah, I was happy with it. I like talking. That's all I really have to say. So I think that is where I'm going to end RWBY Extra, or the RWBY Review-Cap Extra for today. Again, I'm very sorry that this isn't a normal Review-Cap episode. And again, I'm guessing 4 and 5 aren't going to be either. Hopefully 6 won't be. Hopefully 6 will be a regular episode, but I can't promise it. I'm trying my best to get caught up again, and things are just being a dick. But I'll try my best to do that. If you guys enjoyed this and are okay with seeing, hell, if you like this more than you like the regular Revew-Cap, tell me too. I don't fucking know. I intend to, when I actually can get back on a normal schedule, I intend to do a short review, a normal Revew-Cap, and then a short Revew-Cap Extra every week. No guarantee that that'll even fucking happen, but I'm gonna try. Kind of like what I did with episode 2, just instead of tacking it at the end of the episode, I'll just make a separate video so people don't have to bother sitting through it. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please go ahead and leave me a like, comment explaining what you liked, what you didn't like, what were your thoughts on the episode itself, anything like that, please. I love talking to people. And subscribe if you want to stick around for more when I eventually start getting shit back together again. One day. Ooh, and before I actually end the episode, there's one quick thing I really want to talk about, and that is RWBY Abridged. So if you don't give a shit about this at all, you don't have to worry about that. You can just end the episode. I love you. Bye-bye. Smoochums. But anyway, yes, like the Pokemon, the little itty babe. Why is Smoochum so much more adorable and cool than Jinx is? Jinx, why can't you do better? Put away the makeup kit, Jinx. You don't need this. You're beautiful. Just the way you are. Anyway. The thing I want to talk about, RWBY Abridged. For those who don't know, again, I am a voice actor. Shitty voice actor, don't get me wrong, but I am a voice actor. Very, very recently, while I was actually gone away on my trip, apparently, came home to see this, the first episode of the RWBY Abridged that I'm in, by Dust to Dust Productions, came out, and apparently people went fucking apeshit and really started liking it, which is fucking awesome. The first episode came out. I'm not in the first episode. If you do want to see who I am in a thing, that black trailer could always use a little bit of love. I know a certain bull-headed jackass who would really like to see you watch it. Anyway. Mr. Crackers the Gundam. Okay, so that was a really shitty version of that. I'm still kind of sick. Anyway, the first episode of RWBY Abridged came out that I'm a part of, and got a lot of love. And I'm just I want to say thank you to everyone who checked that out. Again, I'm not even in that episode, but people really seem to like it, and they're sticking around and hanging out. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out. Again, it might not be your thing at all, but every little bit of support helps. The people who I'm working with are doing a great job over there. They recently just put up an announcement video talking about a gaming channel-y sort of thing that they want to do, talking about Patreon stuff and things like that. And there's a lot of cool things for people who even like to audition and try out for voice acting roles in the series itself. You could voice act alongside me and be extremely disappointed. But check that stuff out, because I know they've gotten a ton of support, and they're freaking the fuck out about it. They're like, dude, what the fuck? It wasn't supposed to get that big. It's over 9,000. Like, they're very, very happy and excited. I'm very, very happy for them that they're the thing that they've been so kind to bring me into is doing so well. And I hope that next time I come around, next time Adam fucking cockhole shows his face again, you'll check that out too. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that happens to be. So until then, toodles, doodles, and lemons. Ha, bye-bye.
Adam replies with a statement on how Salem doesn't have to worry about Susan's cooperation if she's no longer her leader. Technically correct. Go fuck yourself.
Nobody needed to die today.
I know, right? Can't we all just get along?
I disagree.